You're listening to the Cricket Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome back. I'm Manners. I'm with Jelisa and Paul, and it's the headlines time, brought to you by Piccolo Podcasts. Well, the first headline is an article written by Peter Lawler for the Daily Telegraph, and he has revealed that Aaron Finch had astigmatism. Is that how you say it, Paul?
An astigmatism.
An astigmatism. Not astigmatism.
So the word astigmatism.
Yeah.
Which is a common vision problem caused by an error in the shape of the cornea. With an astigmatism, the lens of the eye or the cornea, which is in the front surface of the eye, has an irregular curve which causes blurry, fuzzy or distorted vision. Not good if you're opening the batting for Australia.
And explains a lot.
I have this as well, actually. I have a minor one. Maybe, because did you say he's going to have surgery or he's had surgery?
So he's just had laser surgery, finally, and that will correct the problem.
Imagine if I did that and suddenly it was brilliant. I'd be really regretting that I didn't do it 20 years ago.
And you know what? I've heard that that's the only thing keeping you from the Australian
I've heard
team.
that as well.
Yeah, I've heard rumours. There's word.
But just incredible that would sort of be affecting him for so long, and no wonder he was not playing very well.
I wonder how, when he knew this, when he figured it out, like if he knew that whole time when he wasn't going well that he was suffering with that, or was it something that he went, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I think he knew because Simon Kadich was talking recently, and I think he started to know last year, but he just couldn't take a break and get it sorted out. So, look, it also, in the article, they point out that Don Bradman was colorblind, and somebody asked him how he saw the red ball against certain backgrounds, and he responded that he'd only ever noticed its size, not its colour.
That's news to me. I've read
I've never heard that.
everything that I've possibly been able to get my hands on Don Bradman, including his autobiography where he talks about his eyesight, and he never mentioned the colour blindness. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's news to me, and I Googled it today. I couldn't find any reference to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was just about to Google that and go, well, I've never heard this before either.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's not true, but just I'm saying interesting.
Yeah, so Paul's not 100% sure on that one. And please write in if you can fact check that. And Virat Kohli apparently wears contacts on the field, rumoured to.
I can see here there is a few sources that say he's colourblind.
Are you sure though? Because it was referring to Bill Ponsford as of?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bill Ponsford.
Oh, really?
You've got to click the article.
Oh, bullshit.
Wow.
What kind of... I don't do that.
Read?
Give me the headline and sensationalise it or nothing.
All right, the next cricket headline. The worst use of the DRS system ever by Channel 7. They will never use DRS again, I hope, because it's cost them $10 million. They were offered a $15 million discount by Cricket Australia before the summer. They declined it. They went upstairs to the DRS system, and the third umpire said, look, you're only going to get a $5 million discount. So... there you go.
What are you talking about? Is this anything to do with DRS?
Well, it's not real DRS. It's actually
because I was like, a discount
an arbitration committee.
So my brain went to like, are they? What?
Have they introduced DRS into life?
No, because I could really use that.
You didn't clean up the kitchen. DRS.
DRS. No, I thought you meant that they were getting a discount on DRS as in the cameras.
No, sorry.
And I was
sorry,
like,
my
what are you
humour.
talking about? Anyway, sorry. Clarify that. So they what?
They went to an arbitration. They went through arbitration for the the rights
this is when they're
discount.
having all their
and as I said, they were offered $15 million. They declined it. They went to DRS arbitration for Jelisa, and then
not real.
And then whatever. They only said it was $5 million discount. So they cost themselves $10 million by going upstairs.
Yeah, right. Reports 9 and 10 were approached during the dispute. Yeah,
your former work and your new work.
So
you could be doing the Big Bash at 10.
We need Channel 19 so I can work for both. Because I miss everyone, but I want to work with everyone.
Have you finished at 9 yet?
No, I've still got 2.5 more weeks.
Okay, so you can still see Jelisa on the news every night.
Oh, well, then you can see me at 10. Tune your channels.
That's right.
Yeah, it's sad, though, that there was Robert Craddock a couple of weeks ago saying, in his opinion, Channel 7 will never want to have cricket again once the rights expire. When you've only got 3 free-to-air networks, you haven't got much to choose from. And I know that soon it will be all streaming and a brave new world. But at the moment, still, you don't want to be offending the. It doesn't sound like Cricket Australia did much wrong in the end. That if they were vindicated in the court case, then maybe Channel 7's the ones that need to have a look at themselves.
Well, especially when Nine's already sort of locked up the rights to so many other things. So, it does leave limited options.
Channel 10 with that CBS money needs to pony up and get all the cricket.
I'd be on board with that.
That's right. All right.
That's my first job.
That's your first job. That and Shield cricket getting more coverage, please.
Yeah, right.
Just do that in your first meeting.
I'm just going to go in like...
Is there a cooling off period? Because wait till that's over before you run that
wait
line.
till my 3 months. If I get fired within 3 months, I went too hard.
All right, the next headline, and this is from an article by Joe Barton in the Daily Telegraph, former panellist on this show. So Shane Warne has actually come on board with my prediction that the Ashes next summer could be fiercely contested. And this is what Warney said. I think this will be one of the closest Ashes series for a long time. And he's urged Australia to heed the lessons learned from their Indian failure. And this is the quote that gets me. At times through this summer, they just got scared of losing and they just went defensive rather than attack. And the Australian way is to attack. And he points out that with England coming with Archer and Anderson and Stokes as their quick bowlers, that's a dangerous lineup just there. You're not even talking about Broad and the rest. So, yeah, I'm with Warney. I think next summer Australia's in a lot of trouble.
I wouldn't go as far as to say a lot of trouble, but I agree with him that it could be a really hotly contested series. And I also agree that Australia were too defensive, specifically just in terms of batting slowly. I think that they need to put the foot down a little bit more. And when you think back to those Ashes of 2017-18, I've always said that 4-0 sounds like a thrashing, but my memory is that each game, England were in it for a long way, and it was kind of an arm wrestle that ultimately maybe 4-0 flattered Australia a little bit. If England had had a little bit more luck, maybe it could have been closer. So it needs to be closer. We've talked before on this panel that you exclude 2010-11, England's record in Australia in the last living memory, or not quite living memory, but last 20 or 30 years is deplorable. So
they haven't won a test in Australia since that tour.
And they didn't win one in the tour before that, and the tour before that they won one. So this century, you take out 2010-11, England's record is just gargantuanly terrible. The Ashes needs a really close contest. It would be great to have one.
Are you nervous, Jelisa, like Warney?
I'm probably not as nervous as Warney is, but I agree. Reflecting on the way Australia played against India, we certainly can't take the same kind of tactics in, and I don't think they would either because they were torn apart because of it.
I just don't know whether Australia has that ability now to sort of fight back. It seems like as soon as India started to really, claw their way into the series, we just got to run out of answers.
I think there'll be a lot of... I think there was definitely the mentality that we were going to completely roll India, particularly with our fast bowlers that we've got. And I think it's just probably gave us a bit of a shake-up with you can't actually rely on the bowlers because when it's not happening, it's not happening. And you're going to have to find different ways to win, which we didn't do.
We didn't. Yep, so Warney, he's put out the warning for next summer.
Dennett mini rant time. In the Sydney Morning Herald, Andrew Wu wrote that so he's talking about the fact that Australia is potentially going to play Ireland in a home test match the summer after next. So he said, if the Ireland fixture is rubber stamped by the two boards, it would result in Australia hosting a test minnow in consecutive summers, giving its reputation abroad a much needed boost. So the other one he's talking about is that the Afghanistan test match this coming summer is looking confirmed. And my point is, well, that's great that we're going to host Ireland, but our reputation surely is worse than that we can't improve it by having one extra test match against a so-called minnow, because our reputation is terrible because we only play the sides that we want to play. Now, I'm not talking about the cancellation of South Africa. I think that was the unfortunate but the right thing to do. But just picking on two relationships, that it's been covered before, but it's worth covering again. Bangladesh, 2003, was the last time we hosted Bangladesh in a test match. It was also the first time we hosted Bangladesh in a test match. We've only ever played 2 test matches against them in this country. Bangladesh has 170 million people. They're the 8th most populous nation in the world. One day, they'll be more powerful than us as far as cricket, and they'll look back and say, we're not going to do you any favours. You didn't do us any, we're not going to do you any. But the other
That's the way India feels about Australia now.
Exactly. You can look exactly at that, and we didn't do India many favours in the past either. But the other one next door, I just find this stat amazing. New Zealand, we have played 26 tests in New Zealand. Not in the last few years, not this ever. In the history of Earth, the Australian men's team has only ever played 26 test matches in New Zealand. We've played 25 test matches in England in the last 16 years. We have no test matches scheduled as far as the Future Tours program goes in New Zealand. So that goes another 2 years. So in 2 years' time, we'll be able to look back and say, in the last 13 years, we have played 2 test matches in New Zealand. Now, we only make money, I think, when England and India come out here. We've got a budding rivalry on our doorstep that we really should be giving the love. New Zealand, when they came out here, lots of fans came out. They're now the number 1 test side in the world. I know they haven't done very well in test matches against us, but we don't really give them much of an opportunity. And, you know, in the 1800s, England hosted minnows 9 times, and that minnow was called Australia. They hosted us.
Mate. There's no one else to
but
host.
also in 1800s, they're not negotiating broadcast deals either.
No, but I'm saying we'll get to that. But they hosted us 9 times for 24 tests, and we won 4. We were terrible, and yet they kept on inviting us. And as a result, they now have this flourishing rivalry. If we had treated New Zealand better, then and had really encouraged them and had lots of series against them, we'd have higher broadcasting rights because it's a ready-made rivalry with all the other sports. And
It'd be like the Bledisloe Cup.
Yeah. Well, good knowledge, Menace.
Very good. Thank you.
Everyone's losing interest in that as well, but sure.
Not in New Zealand, they're not.
Not in New Zealand, no. We're losing interest over here.
Anyway, so it's a bit of a disjointed rant to say, I know it's tough, but we can't just keep on...
That. We haven't won the Bledisloe Cup for ages, have we?
That's correct.
Sorry.
Yeah, we did.
Continue.
You did really well.
I wasn't sure of the
Good job.
reference.
We can't just keep on playing England and India and no one else.
Thoughts, Jelisa? Do we give our Kiwi neighbours enough love?
I don't think... No, I do take Paul's point. I don't think we give our Kiwi neighbours enough love because I would like to see us play our Kiwi neighbours a lot. But when you're looking at these kind of things and how these things are decided, I'm sorry, but unfortunately not a lot of people, commercially, it's not attractive to play Bangladesh. It just isn't. And probably commercially over, selling the rights over there it is. But for our TV networks here, you're just never going to be able to... Cricket Australia's never going to be able to walk in and go, this is this blockbuster summer we've got when you've got... Okay, but also, can we play India? Can we play England? So I think definitely a lot of it now is commercially driven. But I think there probably is an appetite there for New Zealand a bit more. Because
of the rivalry.
But not even just that, because there's a lot of, crossover between the Kiwis here and we're over there, and just the close proximity. I think there's probably a little bit of a rivalry there that hasn't been teased out as much as it probably could be. But I think with some of the other nations, it's just not commercially attractive.
But it will be commercially attractive at some point. And if we're just consistently only short-termist, that's what we did with India. We hosted India so infrequently. We had them out here in 91, 92, didn't get them out again until 99, 2000, and then suddenly realised, oh, geez, there's a lot of money to be made, and we got them out a whole lot more. I know your point. Like, we're not saying have a 5 test match series against Bangladesh and, the TV rights would be appalling, but we do need to at least squeeze them in for some winter tours or something to at least show them some love so that, A, it's the right thing to do, and B, when they eventually probably do get more powerful, then maybe they'll think more kindly of us.
Yeah, I see your point. I just think you can't really walk into TV execs and go, okay, so we're going to play Bangladesh now. I know that shit now, but in 30 years, you're going to feel like it's...
You're going to thank us.
You're going to thank us. And they go, well, we don't care because we're here now and we want to know what's...
Yeah, but I'm saying
now.
Don't worry about that now. Just say, okay, we're playing Bangladesh in July in Darwin. We're not expecting to get much money for it, but it doesn't cost us that much either.
It does cost networks a lot to cover cricket.
No, don't cover it then. I'm saying if the Australian networks don't want to cover it, I'm saying we need to play Bangladesh more. And if they don't want
Right.
to cover it, if they think it's not worthy of them covering it,
Okay.
then we've just got to play some test matches with them to give the rivalry some love, to not be the pariahs of the sport internationally.
If you're not covering, though, where's the money coming in for Cricket Australia?
No, but I'm saying it's like the Sheffield Shield, that you lose on that you just need to have some test matches against Bangladesh, even if you don't make much money off them, or even if you lose. At the moment, I think you lose every test series we have, except when we play India or England, we lose on all of them.
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah.
we shouldn't play South Africa, we shouldn't play New Zealand, we shouldn't play Pakistan, we shouldn't play Sri Lanka. We should only play England and India if it's going to be down to money. But I'm saying long term, that's a strategy that sort of condenses the sport in an unhealthy way. So I'm saying you don't go crazy and, as I said, have a 5-test series against Bangladesh and try to sell it. You've got to do a little bit more than what we're doing and haven't had them out here for 18 years.
Surely you could sell rights playing Bangladesh here to Bangladesh if you're saying there's 170 million people.
Yeah, of course.
They
Yeah,
must watch TV.
Yeah.
I think that what I get on board with, Paul, is they need to start to, you're right, carve out some time to play teams like this. And it's clear we can't fit them into the summer. That's never going to happen. There's the Big Bash, there's the big international tours. They are not going to block off time in the peak of cricket season to play a smaller nation. But as you say, if they could work out something in winter venues up north, perhaps, where was it, Darwin, Cairns, somewhere like that, make those venues really excited to have the test matches. Perhaps you could, sort of build up that sort of culture where fans know that every year there's going to be a winter series against a smaller nation, and half our players aren't there because they're at the IPL.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, the final headline. Well, history has been made for New South Wales, and not quite as bad as being bowled out for 32, but the New South Wales Breakers missed their first ever Women's National Cricket League final. Incredibly, there have been 24 WNCL finals. New South Wales have been in every one until this year. And this year, they missed out and they will not be in the final.
Yeah, I mean,
Victoria v Queensland is the final.
What a tremendous run. 23 years. That's it has to come to an end eventually.
All right. We're going to take our break. All right, we're going to take a break and then we'll be back with some great questions from the listeners, and then can't let it go. I just want to remind you all that we're launching our Patreon page. So there's a Linktree link in the show notes that will take you to the Patreon, our merchandise, bonus episodes, the whole thing. So have a look in the show notes for that link. We are selling merchandise. It's just not, we haven't sold one T-shirt. We haven't sold one T-shirt yet. It's DRS themed.
You're not meant to mention that. We've sold thousands.
You get them before they run out.
I haven't seen a single person today not wearing one of our T-shirts, except for us three.
Oh my gosh, mine's at home.
You look great in it, Jelisa.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
MS Dhoni rang me yesterday
We'll come up with
to
some
buy
new
one.
designs. We're going to be releasing new T-shirts every month. So if you wanted DRS...
I've got good design ideas. I think you guys should have come to me.
We still will. We still will.
Don't worry, we will after the way the first lot have gone.
Now, I designed
Paul's idea.
the first lot. That's why he's saying this. Now, have you seen the first lot?
I have, yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on them? Oh, no. We'll have to edit this bit out. What's that, Jelisa? They're fantastic.
They're very funny, but maybe not wearable.
What you're saying is they have a global audience of one.
They cover the bits you need covered.
Great. All right, on that note, we'll take a break.